I'm Heidi Stark, and this is Pretty Red Flags, the podcast, episode 3. This podcast is three things in one: a true crime podcast, because everything in this duet is 99.9% real, an audiobook, because I am reading each chapter of my duet, and a survivor testimony, because I'm sharing my experience beyond what's on the page in the hopes that it will make other people feel seen, that it will help people who might not have experienced this to understand, and that it will shed light on topics that really aren't talked about enough. In episodes 1 and 2, we met Margot in the lead up to her move to Sunset Cay, which we now know to be Hawaii, and she hasn't met Timmy yet, but she's sure about to. In this episode, we'll cover several chapters of Pretty Red Flags, starting with chapter 9, 4 bags, 9 lives. Now that the move is happening sooner, I really need to get this apartment sorted. My gut churns as I survey all the furniture and the work that still needs to be done. I'm leaving the big pieces for my ex because I'm not a petty bitch, and it would be impractical to transport any of them to so things like the mattress, dresser, nightstand, exercise bike, couch, TV, entertainment stand, all of that will stay. But I have all this smaller stuff, and I somehow have to ruthlessly prioritize what to take with me. I just can't afford to hire movers and take everything I own. I'm on a budget with no vehicle, and everything I take has to come with me on a plane and fit into 4 suitcases. I sigh as I look at the hand weights I've treasured and used for the past several years, and my beautiful stand-up paddleboard that I barely got to use. It'd be perfect where I'll be going, but I'm going to have to say goodbye. Fuck, I hate this. Breakups are depressing. Leaving a life you thought was going to last forever hurts like hell, even though I know it's the right decision. I feel lonely now, but I felt pretty lonely in the relationship too. Better to get out now rather than just keep things going because it feels comfortable and safe. I turn on a podcast and get to work, organising and sorting. I carry trash bag after trash bag of items that I won't be taking and drop them into the trash chute. It's sad to get rid of so many things, but hearing the bags thunking down the chute, pinging against the little metal panels is oddly cathartic. I feel wasteful getting rid of some of it, and I'd inquired with a junk company, but they literally wanted to charge more than the cost of Sabres and my plane tickets just to haul a couple of items away. I need to be pragmatic and less hard on myself. Sure, in an ideal world, I'd donate more and sell more things, but I'm just not in a position to do that. If I delay this move any further, I'm going to be sacrificing my already declining mental health. I can't do that to myself, or I'll be no good to anyone. For once, I need to prioritize me. Sabre feeds off my energy so hard as well. He bites my ankles extra at the moment, and I can't blame him. I'm uprooting his life too, after all. Hopefully it'll be an upgrade. I guess we'll see when we get there. A few days later, the stress of hauling 4 suitcases and a cat through the airport is intense. The cart stand is broken, so I basically have to hoist Sabre onto my shoulder and then drag the suitcases one by one just a little bit further until we're finally in queue with the check-in team. Because I have a cat, I can't just go to the machines to check in like I normally would. A few people look at me with amusement. "Quite a few suitcases you have there," says one nosy old man, smirking as I walk past, my breath ragged. "No fucking shit, Sherlock," I think. Nobody offers to help, not that I'd expect them to, and comments like his make me want to stop what I'm doing and knock the smirk right off his face. But I'm naturally polite in these types of interactions, and although it's something I'm working on, I just give a tense smile and move on. Then I'm so fucking mad at myself for smiling at an idiotic comment, but I'll worry about that later. Finally, we're all checked in and the bags are whisked away on a conveyor belt. It's just me and Sabre now. Much easier to manoeuvre than hundreds of pounds of stuff. I really hope everything makes it there safely, but it's completely out of my hands, so I make peace with that. One less responsibility until I get to the other end of the trip. All I have to say about this chapter is that, like any move, this was incredibly stressful. I didn't have a ton of stuff, but it was hard to physically move 4 suitcases and a cat by myself. I was really stressed about putting things in quarantine, and it all went past in a bit of a blur, so I was really just putting one foot in front of the other. Chapter 10. 60 days in, cat's version. I get off the plane and Sabre is immediately whisked away by a quarantine official. "Bye, Sabre, I'll see you soon," I say, helpless. I'm advised to go to the nearby quarantine station after I pick up my bags to make sure they have all the necessary paperwork to process Sabre. At baggage claim, I reconsider my decision to figure this all out by myself. It's overwhelming. There's 4 giant suitcases containing my life's belongings. But I manage, hoisting them onto a cart and make my way toward quarantine. Timmy and one other guy, Felipe, had offered to pick me up at the airport. Timmy even sent me a picture of the back of his truck to show me all my suitcases could fit. But it just seems really soon to be meeting someone and having them help me. and having them come into my living space that I haven't even seen for myself yet. So I'm stuck with figuring out how to get all these bags sorted and into a large enough Uber to transport everything. As I make the trip along the bumpy sidewalk, my suitcases fly off the cart a couple of times. It's sweaty work loading and reloading them, and I glanced around embarrassed at my clumsiness. I get to see Sabre again for one brief moment at the temporary quarantine station, handing the officials my paperwork before he's taken away again. They tell me he'll need to be in the facility for anything from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. The lady behind the counter sees a helpless look on my face. You can visit, she says gently. The people who operate the facility genuinely love animals, and the space for cats is wonderful. He'll be partially indoors, partially outdoors in his own private suite. There's lots of fresh air, and he'll get to see mongooses and deer and all sorts of other things. I breathe a huge sigh of relief. Her words mirror the way it's described online. Visions of Sabre in a dimly lit maximum security prison cell being allowed to stretch for an hour a day flee my mind. That's one thing I don't need to worry about. I'd researched this already, but it's extra reassuring hearing it directly confirmed by someone working closely with the facility. I'll miss him, of course, but it will be more stabilizing for him to have everything set up in the apartment by the time he moves in. I'll get my bearings too, so he won't feed off my own anxiety as I adjust to the new location. And I feel a tiny bit free. After looking after Sabre for 12 years, which I've loved every minute of, I'm going to have a little bit of time to just settle in and get myself oriented to the new city. I won't have to worry about food or water or giving him attention. Not that Sabre is high maintenance at all. Right up until I left San Francisco, I was feeding John's diabetic cat and giving it insulin twice a day at set times. So going from that to no cats for a couple of weeks feels like a huge amount of freedom from timetables and parental responsibility. I feel guilty and selfish for feeling this way because Sabre asks very little of me and gives me so much affection and companionship in return. I hope he enjoys his little getaway, and I really hope the quarantine facility is as nice as I've heard it is. My reaction to this chapter, it was absolutely nerve-wracking handing Fang over. I had to trust in the kindness of the woman I spoke to at the quarantine agency, and luckily she was right. Chapter 11, Her Move, My Obsession. Dex. I'm tracking her flight and she's landed. I'll get a notification when she orders her Uber and we'll track her from there. I just have an uneasy pit in my stomach. She has to give up her beloved cat for at least a few weeks too, and I know he's a real source of stability for her, literally an emotional support cat. As soon as she lands, I see 2 incoming text notifications. Michael, welcome. How was your flight? Timmy, welcome to Hawaii. Jesus, these guys are real predators. It's as if they're trying to be the first to message her on arrival so they can lock her down. It's like they were tracking her flight. David always tracks her flight, but he lives on the other side of the world and is obsessed with planes. But these guys? Well, shit. I mean, I guess I'm doing it too. But I'm doing it from a good place, not to take advantage of a lonely and vulnerable woman who's just arrived in a new city. And sure, I'm now reading through her texts and her dating apps and following her Ubers around. God, I'm sounding like a real creep. But I need to make sure she's okay. I just have a feeling she's very, very not. I looked at flights to Sunset Cay last night and almost booked one, but I decided not to at the last minute. That's the last thing she needs in this new phase of her life. Her brother's childhood best friend following her around and hiding behind trees while she tries to live her day-to-day life. She'd be so pissed if I did that. She'd be so pissed at what I'm doing now. But I can't stop seeing what she's doing and checking in on her because I care. A secret protector from a distance. My reaction was it did feel a bit stalkery getting these messages as soon as I landed in Hawaii. I've since learned that this is a bit of an MO for some guys there because Hawaii, after all, is an island or a group of islands and not many people are going there to live permanently, as in lots of people are coming and going on vacation. A lot of people already know each other and they have dated, etc. So there are guys who will jump on the fresh meat, so to speak, which is quite overwhelming when you first arrive there. Chapter 12. The apartment's view is even better than I expected. From my balcony, I can see the beach and well-known mountain peak, Strawberry Head, on one side and then a golf course and mountains on the other. As I take it all in, the leasing agent says, "Oh, and you might hear a dog yapping from time to time from the apartment to your right. Sorry about that in advance." She lets out a little laugh. "That's my dog. I'm actually your neighbor." "Oh," I say, a little surprised. "I didn't realize that." Not sure what else to say. I awkwardly add, "Hi, neighbor." I feel a little confused as I remember back to her insistence that I moved into this specific apartment. You'd think that given she lived right next door, she would have mentioned that. But she's springing it on me now as I'm moving in. Why did she want me to move in next to her so badly? It just seems like an odd thing to do, especially if she waited to tell me this piece of information. Not that I'm expecting to host rages or anything, but living next to someone who works in the building makes me feel a little bit like I'm under surveillance. But I try to shrug it off. Maybe she wanted someone around her age, a single woman, to live near her. Thought I would be quiet and keep to myself versus someone moving in with their partner and children. Maybe it was just selfish on her part. I'd say I'll be keeping an eye on her, but I have this weird feeling she'll be keeping an eye on me. She leaves me to it, and I begin to bring the suitcases up one by one. It's easy to unpack given I don't have much stuff. I load up the brand new washing machine with clothes because they all have that plain smell, and take a moment to sit and just look out the view. For the first time in a while, I exhale, and I'm still. Although I'm glad to be here, I feel discombobulated, disoriented. My mind still hasn't quite processed that I live here yet on this island. But I know the hardest parts are behind me, packing up the San Francisco apartment, getting my cat and my belongings here, and moving my things into this gorgeous place. I'm here now, and I know my mind will catch up soon. Getting Sabre out of quarantine will be the last step in setting up this exciting new chapter. My phone pings. It's Timmy again. Timmy. Hey, let's go feed the ducks at the park. Me. Oh man, that sounds fun, but I'm exhausted. Can we do it another day? I just got all my stuff moved in. Timmy. No pressure. I'm just really excited to meet you in person. Me, I'm excited to meet you too. Sweet. It's nice to have someone champing at the bit to see me the moment I arrive. I just don't think I have it in me today to make a good first impression. I'm just so very tired. I sit for a while in the apartment, taking it all in. I hop in the shower, washing off all the plain stuff. Come out feeling refreshed, a little bit like I have a second wind. I realize I don't have any food in the apartment except for the snacks I bought from the plane. And now that I live here, I'm only a short 10-minute walk away from one of my favourite restaurants in the city, Dock Bar. So I get dressed and walk down there. The warm air caresses my skin, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of palm trees and sunscreen and sea salt. I smile as tourists walk past, chatting away about their plans for the evening and the remainder of their trips. I really live here now. I don't have to jam-pack my schedule with stuff to get the most out of a finite period of vacation. I get to take my time and do all the things I want to without rushing. I get to my favourite restaurant and it's as gorgeous as always with the most spectacular view of Strawberry Head as well as the beach. I sit at the bar, my favourite place. The bartenders recognise me and I order one of their signature Mai Tais and a Caesar salad. The Mai Tai comes out just as I remembered them, pale in colour with a gorgeous purple flower garnish. I still can't believe they make these on draft because they're seriously the best ones in Sunset Cay. I don't even particularly like Mai Tais, but these ones are amazing. The bartender and I make small talk while she works and I munch on my salad. Feeling emboldened by my drink and feeling great about being here in general, I text Timmy. Me. Hey, I've got a burst of energy, so I'm down at Dock Bar having some food and a drink. Timmy. Oh my gosh, want me to come and see you? I'd really love to meet you. I've been waiting forever. I laugh and feel my face flush a little. His persistence is flattering. It feels good that someone wants to make the effort to see me. Me. Sure. Timmy. On my way, be there in like 20 minutes. I grin, but suddenly I feel nervous. It's one thing to text someone I meet on a dating app, but it's been a long time since I've met a guy for the first time in person. But something tells me this is the right time. And it's so sweet that he wanted to meet me as soon as I got here. My reaction. So the leasing agent springing on me that shows my neighbour made me feel really weird. Like my gut did something. I felt like she'd pulled one over on me, but it was like, why? And I couldn't make sense of it at the time. To an extent, I still can't, even in hindsight. I'm really guessing she either thought I was going to be the quietest, most low maintenance neighbour ever because I was moving by myself, or she's a complete psychopath. It feels like there's no middle ground, and you'll learn more about her and potential motivation. In terms of Timmy wanting to see me straight away, like going to feed the ducks was the last thing that I wanted to do. I was absolutely exhausted. But then after having a shower and like seeing my stuff put in its place and looking out the window and being excited by where I was, I thought, I do need to eat. And once I got there and it was just so peaceful and fun and nice, just chatting with the bartenders and stuff, I was like, why not? So I reached out to him. So it was interesting being there on my first day for a few different reasons. They decided to go with the flow and we'll see what happens. Chapter 13, Feeling Seen. The past. The creep. You'd be just perfect if only you were wearing a black bra. And also, I want to paint your nails. I glance self-consciously at the grey and white bra strap that's escaped the confines of my tank top. His words make me feel a bit strange, like I'm almost but not quite up to his standards somehow, because of his fatal bra and nail flaws. That he knows just the trick to make me into his perfect type of woman. The creep. I'm very good at painting nails, you know. I have a very steady hand. I can't wait to paint yours. A little shiver runs through me. I can't quite put my finger on it. His words remind me of a crime show I recently watched where the killer painted the fingers and toenails of his victims each a different colour. I shake it off. Clearly, I've been watching way too much trash TV if a minor comment about my own fingernails has me thinking of that. I glance down at them. I don't bite them anymore, but I do have a tendency to pick at them when I'm nervous or stressed. And the move to a new city has definitely had me in that state. A few of them are jagged, and the pink nail polish I applied a couple of weeks ago has well and truly started to wear. There are spots where it's fully worn away. No wonder he noticed. He's just trying to help me be my best self. But he's eyeing me in a way that seems, I don't know, like I'm a doll he wants to dress up or something. It's not a look I've seen before. Sure, I've had plenty of guys stare at me in that hungry way that means they want to fuck, with a barely containing their lust-filled drool. He's kind of doing that, but this is different somehow. The present. Based on his dating app pictures, angled selfies, and slightly awkward poses, I figured there's a 98% chance that Timmy's a few inches shorter than me. I generally do prefer taller guys, as superficial as it sounds, and I have a feeling this guy will lean heavily on personality rather than height. So when the 6'2" guy appears at my side, I almost lose my shit. His profile was so detailed, and yet somehow he missed this important information. And well, he's adorable. That easy grin, the glimmer of humour in his sparkling eyes, and the way his messy sun-bleached hair sits just right under his cap. He screams effortless surfer charm. There's an energy, a sense of ease about him, like someone who belongs to the ocean, radiating warmth and carefree vibes. His voice is deep, smooth, and surfery, with just the right touch of mischief that makes me want to hear everything he has to say. I have to stop myself from swooning. I feel like I've been transported to one of those perfect tropical island sunset scenes where everything is mellow and golden and life feels simple. You look even better than your photos, he says, flashing that cheeky grin again. I swear my knees wobble. He's so attentive, making solid eye contact. As a high-functioning autistic person, my ex had real trouble making and maintaining eye contact, so Timmy's attention feels extra intense. We chat easily as I enjoy my second cocktail, the sweet and tart pineapple notes mingling with the buzz of excitement that's starting to hum inside me. He nurses a dragon fruit cider, swirling the can lazily between his large hands. You know, he says, I actually designed packaging for the cider company. He pulls out his phone and shows me a vibrant design, a mix of swirling waves, oranges and teals, and bold typography. They didn't end up using it though, creative differences. Oh wow, you're really talented, I exclaimed, genuinely impressed. I knew he'd studied graphic design, but up until now he'd mainly talked about his condo renovation work and vehicle detailing. To me, being creative as an artist is one of the sexiest things. There's something magnetic about the way he lights up when talking about his art. He tells me about winning an art school contest and how his professors believed he had endless potential. We're two artists, two creators vibing over our shared passion, his art and my books, and it feels electric. The way he listens, really listens, makes me feel seen, and his curiosity is genuine. He asked me about my writing process, plots, characters, what I'm working on now, my backlist, what I love about writing, my cover designs. I pull up a few of my covers and he looks at me like I'm his new favourite person. I get the rare thrill that my work actually matters to someone else. I think it's so cool that you're a writer, he says, his grin infectious. Dark romance, that's sexy as hell. Given my ex's total lack of interest in my writing, this kind of attention makes me feel like I'm winning the lottery. I've spent so long craving this kind of connection, somebody who not only likes me, but also finds my passion for my writing attractive. When it's time to pay, the barback hands Timmy the bill with an exaggerated blink in my direction. Timmy's smile falters as he sees the total. $58 for a cider, he mutters. Oh, I put her Caesar salad and 2 cocktails on there as well. Is that an issue? She grins unapologetically. Timmy shifts in his seat, clearly flustered. Okay. I feel a twinge of guilt. I can get it, I offer. I wasn't expecting you to pay for my meal or the drinks I had before you got here. No, he says, taking a deep breath, collecting himself. But you're getting the next one. My stomach flutters at the idea of a second date. Despite the awkwardness, there's something endearing about his determination to push past it. He isn't trying to impress me with flashy spending, just genuine kindness. I feel a tension though, like this might be all the money he has in his account or something. But he's told me he's working and he's even called me from his job, so I know he does have one. Renovating condos can't pay too badly, and when he's not doing that, he's detailing vehicles. Does he get several $100s for a couple of hours of work? Maybe it's the day before payday. I don't want to come across as judgmental. So he asked, leaning in, what do you want to do now? I mean, I'm getting kind of tired again, I admit, though the buzz from the cocktails has given me a third wind. But we could go somewhere else for a bit. I could stay up for another couple of hours if the conversation remained this good. He smiles knowingly. Let's go for a walk, he says. Come. There's this place I know that has a killer view and pool tables if you're up for a game. Well, that sounds fun, I reply, smiling back. He takes my hand and I feel an unexpected rush of comfort. His hand is large, warm and strong. And it's not just the touch. It's the way he holds mine, like he's already decided that he's a good fit for me and he'll look out for me. We step into the elevator and we ride it down to street level where the salty breeze wraps around us. He guides me down the street, the ocean breeze ruffling his t-shirt, and I feel like I found my own sexy surfer tour guide, someone who knows Sunset Cay like the back of his hand. As we walk, he points out little nooks and hidden spots. Some of his stories are a little crazy, but hey, it's nice to be with someone so carefree, so in tune with nature and the islands. I laugh, charmed by his buoyant storytelling. We walk through a few of the larger resort hotels and he shows me a place with pool tables and shuffleboard as well as a koi pond. On the way, he plucks a plumeria from a nearby tree, spinning it between his fingers and tucking it behind my ear. I smile at him. Nobody's ever put a flower behind my ear before, or at least not since I was a kid. Beautiful, he says, appreciating his work. Just like you. I beam, feeling warmth bloom in my chest. Nobody else has ever done something so sweet, so simple and genuine for me. Not like this. Oh shit, he says, a sheepish grin spreading across his face. I made you a lei too as a welcome gift, but I left it in the fridge. This looks really pretty with your gorgeous hair though, and I'll bring the lei to you another time. He pulls out his phone and shows me a picture of the lei, fashioned out of twisted tea leaves. I've never seen one like this. How cute and thoughtful. Nobody's ever made me anything like a lei before. In fact, I don't think a guy being seen has ever made me, well, anything. Maybe dinner, sure, but nothing creative or arty. But Timmy seems different, full of surprises, and he keeps making me laugh. There's something about his sense of humor that's cheeky and a little dark, which matches well with mine. I laugh. Okay, I'll imagine that you brought the lei. Thank you. It's beautiful. It's thought that counts. He grins at me. You're so welcome. Next time, I promise. We wander through more resort hotels past koi ponds where fat, colourful fish glide lazily through the water and over wooden bridges strung with soft, glowing lights. The night feels alive, full of possibilities. He hands me his drink bottle. Want some? It's tequila mixed with an energy drink. My favourite. Well, the tequila part anyway. I smile and take a sip, wondering if I mentioned it to him before, or if it's just another uncanny thing we have in common. The pool tables are occupied, so we head out, and he takes me to a bar on the main strip. We order mojitos, and then he leads me outside where we can see people wandering around on the street below. I love people watching, and I love this particular beach. This feels like heaven. We talk about nothing and everything, just relaxing in each other's company. I feel utterly content. He leans in close, his sun-kissed arm pressed against mine. He grows quiet for a moment, and his fingers trace a slow, deliberate path along my forearm. Your freckles, he whispers, his voice low and genuine, are the most fucking adorable thing I've ever seen. I mean it. They really are. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I really fucking love them. I feel a spark, something I haven't felt in a long time, like I'm not just seeing but cherished. I look up at him and smile. He grins back and his eyes are kind and sparkling. His gaze makes me feel beautiful in a way I didn't know I craved. We've only just met, but it feels like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Here on this island with this unexpected, wonderful person who looks at me like I just might be his dream girl. And it feels amazing. My reaction to this chapter, that was a lot, just remembering how it felt. Timmy was cute. Timmy was charming. I didn't realize at the time that so much of what he was saying was his own version of events. And we'll talk about the cadence of how he describes stuff in another chapter, but he has an interesting way of talking that throws off timelines and things. So I feel like some of the things he shared that he was so excited about that sounded so plausible, potentially were things that didn't really happen or things twisted so completely from reality. In some ways, in hindsight, I'm convinced that he truly believed those versions of events himself, and maybe he still does. The way that he treated me, he's very confident, charismatic, charming. I've spoken to other people who've known him since before I did, and they shared that that's something that he's kind of known as being a really charming individual. And his compliments were so specific. Like, if someone's trying to sell you something or they're trying to just blow smoke in a generic way, their compliments tend to be quite generic. But he was quite specific about stuff, and even stuff that I might be a little bit self-conscious about. Growing up in New Zealand, you get teased for having red hair and freckles, for example, and here I am covered in freckles and he's calling them fucking adorable. So, looking from the outside, I don't judge you if you judged me for believing everything he said hook, line, and sinker. I remember being at this mojito place, my turn to buy the drink, obviously, and we're sitting up on the balcony and we're overlooking the main strip in Waikiki, and there was just such a buzz in the air. The water, you can almost hear the ocean. You can see it. The air is balmy, and you can kind of smell sunscreen and the brine of the ocean, and there's palm trees, and it's just very romantic. And him sitting there next to me, touching his arm against mine, I was attracted to him, and it felt right. And he was so easy to talk to. My ex before him could talk, but usually it was only after a few drinks. In hindsight, Timmy might have had several tequila and energy drinks before he met me, but he kept it pretty chill, so I couldn't tell. But I felt very comfortable in his company. I felt like there was chemistry. Everything he said was so plausible, and he had enough kind of evidence about it. Even the cider thing, being able to bring that up on his phone, it was literally the same cider company as the one that he was drinking. So I was very enamored by him. I was smitten. It's a good word for it. It felt really nice to be wanted, to have someone wanting to come and see me on my first day there, to have those compliments that were specific. So I understand why I felt the way that I did from the moment that I met Timmy. Chapter 14, The Way You Make Me Feel. The Past, Nobody. Work colleague's partner at a casual Friday work happy hour. You know what everyone's been thinking, that you're an ugly, crazy-looking bitch with your lazy eye. Everybody sees it. You look so stupid. Me, jaw drops. Me, runs from room crying. I still remember that moment. Obviously, that was a really cruel thing to say, and I still don't know where it came from. It was the partner of a colleague I worked with. She was very professional, and the guy was I remember that he was a decent looking guy and he knew it. We were just sitting there at the work bar, and he just turned around and said that. And I'm aware that I had a lazy eye. I actually had an operation on it when I was 1 year old, and I don't think it's a testament to my character or anything. I actually had the option of having a second surgery when I was a teenager, and my theory at the time was, it's not that big of a deal. It mainly comes out by being stressed or drinking or really tired or something like that. And if it's a big deal for someone, it's probably a little bit of a clue for me that they might not be the best person. So it was almost like a way of judging someone's character if it was an issue for them or not. So it was an interesting thing that stuck in my mind. You'll see how it relates to this situation with Timmy, but more on that shortly. The present. Your eye is one of the first things I noticed about you. It's something that makes you unique and special. I love that you have a lazy eye. I pause and stare at Timmy, not quite sure how to respond. He sounds like he's being genuine, but there's an automatic defense mechanism within me that makes me worry he's making fun of me, secretly laughing at me while pointing out one of my most sensitive flaws. Huh? My eyebrow quirks above my non-lazy eye. Timmy smiles warmly, leaning in closer as if to reassure me. Seriously, I appreciate unique features in people. They make them special, and that's one of yours. I find it interesting. I like it. Oh, I'm caught off guard. For pretty much my entire life, my lazy eye is something I've tried to hide, something that's made me shrink. And now Timmy's here telling me how much he loves it. It feels foreign, almost unreal. No one's ever said anything like this before. Most people just ignore it or pretend not to notice it, even long-term partners. But Timmy, he's embracing it. I actually have monocular vision, I explain, feeling the need to fill the silence, which means I don't actually see out of both eyes at the same time. They're constantly swapping in and out. It affects my depth perception, which can make parking cars in tight spaces a bit tricky for me. A doctor once even told me I was meant to be terrible at tennis, but I'm actually surprisingly okay at it. Really? He looks at me like I've just told him the most interesting fact. That's so interesting and awesome, he smiles. We should totally play tennis sometimes. That sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't known him for long, but this man already never ceases to amaze me. I don't take compliments well, but there's something about his words that seem to go beyond the surface and into what's going on beneath. I'm not used to it. I'm used to feeling invisible. With Timmy, I'm basking in the glow of his attention, intoxicated by his flattery. With my ex, I could walk in with the sexiest lingerie known to man, my hair done and full makeup on, my body ripped as hell, and he probably wouldn't even notice. But Timmy notices every little thing about me, and he seems to love everything he sees. I love how soft your skin is, he says, running his massive hand along my arm. And the little ginger curls at the nape of your neck, so cute. He grins, a playful glint in his eyes. I laugh, shaking my head. You're the only person who's ever said that. Well, they're cute as fuck, he insists, pulling me closer. It's these little things, these tiny compliments that really catch me off guard. The things I've been self-conscious about, like the curls I usually try to hide. I love your lips too, he tells me. That slightly fuller lower lip, so sexy. The way he sees me, the way he notices me like an artist painting me like. The way he loves all my quirks and makes me feel like they're charming rather than flaws. And then there's the way he talks about manifesting me, like I'm some dream come to life. I was dreaming of a redhead with freckles and milky white skin, he says, his voice soft with a hint of wonder. I feel like I manifested you. You can ask Matty. Back on St. Patrick's Day, I told him I was going to find someone who looked just the way you do. I dreamed you into being. My heart swells. I've never felt so wanted in my life. When he tells me he loves my lazy eye, it's like something heals deep within me. It undoes all those painful moments, like at the work happy hour where someone cruelly mocked me for it in front of everyone. His words have a way of making the world's harshness disappear. Being with Timmy feels like magic. He takes all the things I've been insecure about my entire life and turns them into treasures. He makes me feel beautiful and adored in a way that feels so genuine. My reaction. So in hindsight, I realized that complimenting my lazy eye was probably a bit much, probably laying it on a little thick. And his comment about a redhead with freckles and milky white skin almost feels like he was fetishizing me in some way rather than seeing me as a human. But I was in this love bubble, this pink cloud, and I took everything he said at face value. It's hard to explain, but the way he delivered the things, as cheesy as it sounds, me saying them to you, he would make great eye contact. He would smile, and he just seemed so earnest about it and seemed to really mean what he was saying. And so it sounds really silly probably as I'm saying it, but he acted like he meant everything he said and was almost quite poetic about it. Anyway, I felt good at the time. You can laugh at me. It's fine. But I think hopefully this helps you get that. Well, hopefully it helps you not to feel so silly if you've been through it, because I see you, I hear you. I've been there, clearly. But second of all, if you haven't been through it and you're wondering how your friend or family member is being so silly, this is what they're wrapped up in, most likely. I wasn't used to people saying nice things to me very often, let alone being so kind and attentive. So I think that fed into it because it was so much of the opposite of what I was used to that I desperately wanted it to be real. Chapter 15. Did I fuck it all up? Sex. I'm second guessing myself. I feel like a stalker. Well, if I think about what I do in my day job and what I'm doing here with Margot, I guess that's a fair assessment. But why her? What's compelling me? I guess it's helpful to remind myself where it all started. Her brother Danny and I were like two peas in a pod growing up. always together, creating shenanigans around the neighborhood, riding our bicycles, throwing rocks at cars, typical boy shit. But when Danny got to about 18, something in him shifted. Now, I'm no angel, but there are two ways you can ride into the darkness, with the intention of adding to it or dealing with the worst kinds in the right way. That's where we veered down two different forks in the road. At first it was subtle, but I slowly saw Danny changing, his morals becoming non-existent. I guess you could say I live by some kind of code, one where I only fuck up bad people. Whereas Danny seems to think it's fine to treat anyone any way he wants, to get the most out of them, manipulating them for his own gain. Even good people, even his own baby sister, Margot. And that bugged me. Family's family, you know. So I guess that's where I stepped in. She idolised him, really put him up on a pedestal, not that he deserved it. He'd do the shittiest things, like invite her to concerts and then right at the last minute either tell her she couldn't come or that she had to pay for the ticket because he owed someone else money for drugs or whatever. Or he'd promised to come to her school plays and then he'd just be a no-show. I could tell her every time he let her down, it crushed her. Every time he'd make some tiny gesture, she'd take it as a sign he'd changed, that he was going to be the big brother she'd always dreamed of, the one that matched the vision in her mind. But I knew that was never going to happen. So I became that person for her instead. Once she got to a certain age, though, I guess it felt kind of weird, because it's hard not to notice how gorgeous she is and how smart and funny and kind. She'll always be vulnerable, little Margot, but now I've started seeing her in a new light. It's not going to stop me from being protective, and I think, in fact, if anything, it's made it worse. Don't really have a reaction to that chapter. Wish someone had been there looking out for me. But that's the fun of being an author. You can create these characters. So we'll move on to chapter 16. Joyous tomfoolery. The past. My mother. Your eyes are glowing in very bright blue. I've noticed they do this when you're really, really excited and happy. The present. We're in a Christmas store of all things, and Timmy pulls a stuffed octopus toy from the shelf. It's one of the few non-Christmas items they sell, and he puts it over his head like a hat. He looks ridiculous, and I giggle at him. Then he puts the octopus on my head and laughs, and he tilts my chin up, and he leans down and kisses me. It's like something out of a movie. Time stands still as our lips meet, and everything fades away but us. His tongue finds mine, and he's a wonderful kisser. It's like our mouths are made for each other. Thank God, nothing worse than starting to dig a person and they turn out to have a lizard tongue or they kiss like a grandma. But thankfully, this is far from that. It's the most special, most romantic first kiss I've ever experienced. This is how it's meant to be, like literal magic. I almost want to pinch myself to make sure I'm not dreaming. I love the way I have to tilt my neck and the way my body feels against his. His arms are wrapped around me and I feel safe and secure and comfortable and very, very giddy and turned on as hell. You know you're not staying over tonight, right? I say, suddenly anxious that it's what he's expecting after this kiss. But his smile is easy. Oh, I know. I glance at him, trying to read him. We need to build a friendship, he said, and I'm not just going to try to slide straight into home base. My body clenches at the thought of home base, and I'm glad he also understands it's not going to happen today. But oh, how I want it to happen and soon. He holds my hand as we leave the store, and not in a possessive way that makes me feel like it's being a sleaze, but just like he wants to hold it because it feels good to him to be touching me. And for me, it's the first time in so long I feel a bit protected by that type of action. He might be tipsy, but he's also obviously smart and very, very cute. As we're walking down the street, he suddenly calls me to him. Kiss me now, he says, and I do. Keep kissing me, the cops are going by, he says. You're my disguise. I laugh, but I oblige. Again, the feeling of his lips on mine is exhilarating. Finally, we pulled away from each other. Haha, he says, I tricked you into kissing me again. Yes. I pull back and he winks and laughs and I swat at him playfully. You're so silly, I grin. Because he absolutely does not have to trick me. I will willingly kiss Timmy every day, every moment, no tricks required. He gives me butterflies again. Every kiss with this guy is electric. We've only had a few, but it's like we know each other's faces, each other's bodies, each other's souls. Yes, it's woo-woo and whatever. But I've always wanted someone who makes me feel this way when I kiss them for the first and second and infinity times. And no matter how hard I wished for it in previous relationships, I never felt this feeling. This isn't just our mouths touching, it's some other kind of connection. Our lips and our tongues and our chests and our hips and our entire beings melded together. And yes, my body twinges hard throughout. But this is about so much more than that. I really think he's the person I've been searching for my whole life. He's so playful and cheeky, full of mischief. He makes me feel free to adventure and explore. With someone like him, we can navigate our path together as we choose. Convention be damned. I've never felt anything close to this before. I'm so lucky. This feels perfect. And the best part is it's really happening. It's not a dream. I finally branched out from my former day to day. I've barely started just living for me and following what brings me joy. And I've already found a person who seems like the one. He drops me off outside my apartment and gives me another kiss. This was really fun, Margot. I'm so glad we got to meet today. I'll text you later. I watch as he walks off, smiling and still feeling the sensation of his lips on mine. When I get home, I look in the mirror and my eyes are glowing blue. And I feel it. My energy is up. I know I'm meant to be here. I can't wipe the smile off my face and I don't want to. What joyous tomfoolery already. My reaction to this chapter: Timmy was a good kisser. The first kiss was cute and it really did feel like something out of a rom-com. I wonder in hindsight how many other girls he's kissed underneath an octopus in the middle of the Christmas store. I have a feeling I'm not the only one. He does seem to have a routine. He didn't pressure me at the time and made me feel a lot lighter, not insisting on anything more intimate. It created a sense of comfort and security for me. I really felt the absence of pressure in a positive way. And I felt like he was attracted to me from the kisses and stuff, but I didn't feel like he was pushing for anything more. At this point, it really felt like this relationship was everything I'd always dreamed of, and I didn't want our time to give it again. I'm curious. Have you ever been love bombed in a relationship? If so, if you've experienced anything like needing a Timmy, what was your experience like? What's the thing that you look back on now that a new partner or someone you were initially dating said to you that, looking back on it, was absolutely wild or just way too early? And what's the most extravagant thing that they did? I'd love to know. Feel free to put it in the comment or message me. In the next episode, we'll get to know Timmy more as Margot continues to get settled in on the island, which he will make himself a big part of. Until then, remember, it wasn't you. You aren't too much, and it's not your fault.